Hey, how's it going, everyone? So after spending a good amount of time this past weekend playing the Call of Duty Alpha for Cold War, I wanted to go over some of my impressions and my thoughts of the game so far based off of that alpha. So right off the bat, I want to go ahead and say that the weapon balance was overall really fantastic. It felt really good after coming off of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which although it has its good things, it also has its negative things. And in that game, if you're not using the meta weapons like the M4 or the MP5, you're just kind of screwing yourself over. In this alpha, I was able to use every single class of weapon, even the light machine guns, and be able to go positive, usually about around like a 2 or 3 KD. I'm not great at the game, but the fact that I was able to go positive with any class of weapons is a really good sign to me. The negative in the weapon balancing is the snipers. They're definitely OP, way too easy to quickscope. Most of the kill cams at the end of matches were of snipers just quickscoping like 5 or 6 dudes back to back. It was pretty crazy. It was kind of like a throwback to Modern Warfare 2 snipers, if you remember that. They were really OP then, and they're really OP now. So hopefully, they have said that they are planning on patching that. So hopefully those patches do help a bit. The other thing I really like is the higher time to kill, or TTK. I also like that the health bar is visual, so I was able to use a weapon and after the first few kills be able to tell how many shots roughly it takes to take someone down, because the health bar above someone goes down and it shows white, and then that white disappears, so you can see how much of that health bar each bullet is taking off. It's really helpful for getting to know your weapons. And the higher time to kill feels like kind of a mix of Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3 to me. I own Black Ops 2. I didn't own Black Ops 3, but I played it during a free weekend on Steam. And that's sort of how I feel like the time to kill resembles, is a mixture of those two. As opposed to who pulls the trigger first, it felt like in this game there were legitimate gunfights in which you had time to take cover or turn on someone if you were good enough. And that was a really nice change of pace as well. There's 150 for health instead of 100. Some people were pretty worried about that, myself included, but the guns have pretty high damage, so it doesn't really feel like your weapons are weak. It feels like you're doing a lot of damage, but there's just more gunfights at the end of the day. It feels really good. Also, Gunsmith is back, one of the best things to come out of Modern Warfare, and it's really good here as well. The perk balance is also really good, especially Tier 3. Tier 3 was really hard to pick from, and the wild cards add a really cool mix to the gameplay. Although I have a feeling that the most popular wild cards are going to be for more perks or for more attachments. I feel like the other wild cards are going to be used more in niche classes. Those two I think are going to be the main go-tos for sure. The other nice thing about Gunsmith this time around is you can actually see the numbers and percentages for what the attachments are going to do to your weapon, instead of just seeing a green bar or a red bar and going, well, I guess that's less, but how much less is it? Because that gives me less damage and that also gives me less damage. You kind of have to look at it and try to visualize which one is taking more damage off. That's no longer an issue here. They tell you the exact percentage in numbers. It's really helpful and a really nice just quality of life feature. The score streak system is another surprise for me. I was really worried about the score streak system when they said it wasn't going to be reset by kills and kill streaks were still going to give you a bonus. I was somebody that thought for sure that was going to end in pretty much just a whole bunch of crazy score streaks like chopper gunners and dogs just running all about the map, you know, at the very end minute or two of the game. And that never happened, given there weren't dogs in this alpha. But the idea of score streaks just coming in like a flurry at the last few minutes never happened in my games. And the other nice thing about how it's set up is because it doesn't reset after death, it's really great for objective players. I can't stress this enough. I myself am solely an objective player. I don't play TDM anymore. I've pretty much exclusively played hardpoint, domination, maybe kill confirmed as the closest thing to just plain TDM. But I've always been an objective player, and so I really want to stress that not resetting after death is a really good thing for people into those modes, because it encourages you to be a bit more risky. Not dumb, because you do get extra points for getting kill streaks. You get 50 points per kill, and then you get 150 on top of that if you get like a 4 kill streak, for instance. So that's 200 for the 4 kills, and then 150 extra for the kill streak. So you still don't want to be stupid and just go out there and just sacrifice yourself if you don't have to. But if you really need to risk sacrificing yourself to keep the objective, you now don't feel held back by the kill streak system. The score streak system implemented here is very friendly to aggressive objective players, and I think that is fantastic. I think that's a step in the right direction. Another thing that was pretty good overall was the maps. Most play really well with different lanes, classic Treyarch maps and interesting tactics. So the lanes aspect, Satellite's probably the best example of that, with 2 outer lanes, one in the dunes and one around the plane, and then one middle valley lane. And the interesting tactics come into play, in my mind, with Armada, with the swimming mechanic. You can have underwater firefights, and you can sneak up on people that way. You can swim underneath the boat and come up on the other side where the enemy team won't be expecting you as easily. So there's a lot of interesting tactics that can be implemented on maps like that. Given not all the maps are winners, some of them were duds. Miami looks nice, but it just plays really bad in terms of it's very slow, and just the flow of the map isn't very good. You can go a long time without seeing someone, and I think that map just needs to be reworked a little bit. Moscow, on the other hand, it still plays bad, but it also looks really bland in my opinion. It looks more like what you would expect to see in, say, Black Ops 1. And nothing wrong with Black Ops 1. Black Ops 1 was a great game, but you kind of see what I mean there. Black Ops 1 maps were much more bland compared to Black Ops 2 and the other Black Ops after that. And Moscow kind of feels like that. It's not very interesting to look at, and it honestly kind of plays like a map in Modern Warfare. Not very well. It didn't feel like it had great flow. I didn't get a chance to play on it as much as Satellite or Miami, so I'll give it another chance at launch, but Miami and Moscow might be 2 maps that I choose to kind of go ahead and quit out of that lobby before the match starts. Combined Arms was a surprise success in my eyes. The 12v12 mode is way less chaotic than something like Ground War. Ground War was amazing, and at first when I heard it wasn't returning exactly how it was for Cold War, I was pretty disappointed. But then I played Combined Arms, and I have to say, I like Combined Arms even better, I think. One of the reasons is you can't spawn on flags like you can in Ground War. You just spawn in your spawn area, and then you have to go to each flag. For some people, that's going to bother them. I've heard a lot of other YouTubers say they don't like that, they want that to be fixed. In my opinion, that's a really good thing, though, that you can't spawn on the flags. In my experience with Ground War, if I tried to spawn on a flag that was further up in the front to try to get in on the action quick, I got in on the action a little too quick, in the sense that I would spawn into an insta-death, where I would spawn right into the line of fire of someone on the other team shooting at one of my buddies, and that happened to be where I spawned, and with how low the TTK is in that game, it was just an insta-death, and then you're just waiting to respawn again. It wasn't very fun, so I don't mind that you can't spawn on all the flags that you control in this game. Vehicles are also really fun to use. I don't think that's a surprise, but they're also not too annoying from what I've experienced. I didn't play Crossroads very much, so maybe I would feel differently, but when I played Crossroads, I ran into one tank and he didn't really bother me. He didn't mess me up. He didn't kill me. And when I was in the tank for my team, it was a total blast. So I don't really have too much of a problem with it. The gunboats in Armada are pretty OP though in terms of their health bar. I didn't really feel like I could snipe through that like front window of the boat and hit the person driving it. You probably had to go up in the back of the boat, get on the boat, and then shoot them from behind. That's probably the trick there. So maybe the health for the gunboats could be tinkered and taken down just a little bit. Now the guns, how do they feel and sound? They feel and sound really good. Definitely more arcadey than Modern Warfare, and I don't mind it. At first it was kind of a bummer. I love how much attention and detail the team at Infinity Ward put into making the guns feel and sound very realistic in their game. That's not the case here, it seems. It feels way more like the older Call of Duties I remember. But in this case, that's not too bad of a thing. I've always felt like Call of Duty was more of an arcadey shooter anyways. So it kind of fits the playstyle in my opinion, but some people are going to miss that more gritty, realistic gunplay of Modern Warfare. And so that's going to be to each their own. Some people are going to love it, some people are going to hate it. Another thing that I noticed is that in the lobbies I was playing, it seemed way less campy than Modern Warfare. I feel like that has to do with a few things. Better flow and higher TTK. The higher TTK, like I said earlier, led to way more gunfights and less just trigger pulls. And the flow came with better designed maps that had lanes like Satellite and better tactics like on Armada. And then also no doors, which I kept hearing no doors, oh that's amazing. I didn't really get the hype about no doors until I played the alpha. It really does help with the flow so much. I can't stress how much that actually helps with the flow of the gameplay. It's kind of crazy and it's hard to describe without actually having someone play it. But when you play it, I think you will notice a big difference from there being no doors, as silly as that sounds. I also didn't see a ton of jump and drop shots. I'm not sure what that's about. That might change as time goes on and people get better at the game. But I definitely didn't experience that. There were quite a few people that were ADSing a lot. But in terms of jump shots and drop shots, I didn't see too many people bunny hopping across the map, and I'm certainly not going to complain about that. There was lots of sliding, but that was mainly to move around faster. Very, very few times did that ever come in to a combat role. It's not like people were slide shooting people a lot. Really, it was much more of just getting around faster from one end to the other and getting around the enemy team as quickly as possible. Much more of a movement mechanic than some sort of combat mechanic. Shotguns as secondary is another thing I really, really like. As long as they are weaker to balance them, obviously we don't want another 725 and then just say, oh, you want a 725 as a secondary? No, we don't want that. But if you make the shotguns a little bit weaker and nerf them a bit, then I don't have a problem with them as secondaries. I think as they were in the alpha is pretty good. They felt very similar to me to the shotguns from Black Ops 1, which makes sense. It's around the same time period. So the shotguns felt good to me. The only negative that comes with that is then it begs the question, why even use a pistol? They have a pistol slot, but who's gonna use a pistol over a shotgun in 90% of cases? I would say not too many people. I imagine most classes are gonna be optimized with a shotgun. So the pistols are going to get a bit less love in this game, I think. You're not going to see them as much. The last thing to round this out are that the graphics are a downgrade for Modern Warfare. There's no sugarcoating it. The graphics and the animations are both pretty bad in the alpha. It is an alpha. It could be fixed. Maybe it will be. However, I wouldn't expect a miracle. This is Call of Duty we're talking about. It's not exactly known for being an incredibly great looking series. usually it kind of does the bare minimum. Modern Warfare was the exception, where that game looked and sounded and felt pretty dang good and realistic. This game, it's definitely a downgrade in terms of graphics and animations. Being a Call of Duty, I don't think it's too shocking to people, but definitely keep that in mind, especially if you played Modern Warfare and were kind of expecting those graphics to be topped. Overall, though, I really enjoyed the Call of Duty Cold War Alpha. I thought it was fantastic. I had a really good time, and it really just was a throwback to older Call of Duties. Aside from Modern Warfare 2019, the last Call of Duty that I actually owned outside of playing free weekends was Black Ops 2, and so it's been quite a while for me. Modern Warfare, the multiplayer at least, never gave me the feeling of a Call of Duty game, a true Call of Duty game. Cold War, right off the bat, immediately hooked me, and I have to say, it felt like the Call of Duty that I remembered. It just immediately clicked with me, and I think that people that like that older style of Call of Duty are really in for a treat here. If you like the direction that Activision went with Modern Warfare, making it a bit slower, more tactical, more realistic, and more about controlling high traffic areas rather than running and gunning and being super aggressive, this may not be the Call of Duty for you. You may want to stick with Modern Warfare when this comes out. This is much more of a throwback to old school Call of Duty. Definitely something worth keeping in mind. But with that being said, if you did like this video, please do drop a like, hit subscribe. I really appreciate it. And go ahead, let me know down in the comments below what you thought of the Cold War Alpha if you played it. Also, are you gonna buy Cold War? Are you excited for Cold War? What are some of your fears that they might drop the ball on, or what are some of the things you're excited about? Go ahead, let me know all that in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.